$500 billion. That's how much money American banks could lose in just 4 years. And we're not talking about some economic crash or recession. We're talking about a technology that most people still barely understand. Stablecoins. This isn't speculation. This came out yesterday from Standard Chartered, one of the world's biggest banks. And here's the kicker. Bank of America's CEO just warned it could be even worse. He's talking about $6 trillion potentially leaving the banking system. This is happening right now. The battle lines are drawn. Banks versus crypto. And your money? It's caught right in the middle. Stay with me because what I'm about to show you will change how you think about banking forever. Alright, let's get into the facts. On January 27, 2026, literally yesterday, Standard Chartered released a bombshell analysis. The headline? US banks could lose approximately $500 billion in deposits to stablecoins by the end of 2028. Now, who made this prediction? This came from Jeff Kendrick. He's the global head of digital assets research at Standard Chartered. This isn't some random crypto bro on Twitter. This is a major international bank warning about an existential threat to traditional banking. Here's how the math breaks down. Right now, the total stablecoin market is sitting at about $312 billion. Standard Chartered projects this market will explode to around $2 trillion by 2028. That's more than a 6x increase in just 4 years. And here's the key part. Kendrick estimates that about 1/3 of that stablecoin growth will come directly from US bank deposits. That's where the $500 billion figure comes from. But it gets even more intense. He's also predicting that emerging market banks could lose close to $1 trillion over the same period. But Standard Chartered isn't alone in this warning. Just 2 weeks ago, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan went on his earnings call and dropped an even bigger bomb. He warned that as much as $6 trillion, that's trillion with a T, could migrate out of the US banking system into stablecoins. That's 30 to 35% of all commercial bank deposits in America. Let that sink in for a second. The second largest bank in America by market cap is openly warning that trillions could leave the banking system. Okay, so for anyone not deep in crypto, let me quickly explain what stablecoins actually are and why they are suddenly such a threat. Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies that are pegged one-to-one with real-world assets, usually the US dollar. The two biggest players are Tether, which has a market cap of $187 billion, and Circle's USDC at around $75 billion. Combined, these two control about 90% of the entire stablecoin market. So 1 USDT equals $1. 1 USDC equals $1. They don't swing wildly like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now here's why banks are terrified right now. There are 3 massive advantages stablecoins have. First, speed and cost. Try wiring $50,000 internationally through your bank. You're looking at 3 to 5 business days. Fees everywhere. Terrible exchange rates. With stablecoins, minutes. Costs a few bucks. Done. Second, they actually work. In 2025, the stablecoin market grew by 50%. That's not speculation, that's real adoption. People and businesses are actually using them for payments, international transfers, trading. Third, and this is the big one that has banks losing their minds, yield. Here's the issue. Your traditional bank savings account pays you maybe 0.5% to 4% interest if you're lucky. Meanwhile, some DeFi platforms and crypto exchanges are offering 5%, 8%, even 10% on stablecoin deposits. Now, there's a massive political fight happening right now over whether stablecoin companies should even be allowed to pay interest. And this is where things get really interesting. Here's what most people don't know. There's a huge legislative battle happening in Washington right now that will determine whether banks lose $500 billion or $6 trillion. The bill is called the Clarity Act, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. It passed the House last summer. Everyone thought it would sail through the Senate in January 2026. It didn't. On January 14th, the Senate Banking Committee was supposed to vote on it. But hours before the vote, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, who runs the largest US crypto exchange, publicly pulled support for the bill. He said, and I quote, "We'd rather see no bill than a bad bill." Why? Because the latest version included language that would essentially ban crypto companies from paying yield on stablecoins. Banks lobbied hard for this. They argued that if people can earn 8% on stablecoins versus 1% in a bank account, there will be a massive deposit exodus. And they're not wrong. Brian Moynihan from Bank of America said it explicitly on his earnings call. If deposits leave banks, banks either can't lend money or they have to get funding from more expensive sources, which raises costs for everyone. businesses, home buyers, everyone. So the Senate postponed the vote. It's now delayed until at least late January, maybe longer. And here's what's wild. There are over 70 amendments filed on this bill. Both sides are fighting tooth and nail. Banking lobbies are calling stablecoin yields a dangerous loophole that threatens financial stability. The crypto industry is calling it anti-competitive, basically saying banks want the government to kill their competition. Standard Chartered's report came out right in the middle of this fight, and it's being used by both sides. Banks are using it to say, see, we told you this is an existential threat, while crypto companies are saying, see, we told you stablecoins are the future. Now let's talk about WHO gets hurt if this actually happens. Jeff Kendrick's analysis specifically looked at something called net interest margin. Basically, the difference between what banks earn on loans versus what they pay on deposits. This is the core of how banks make money. His conclusion? Regional US banks are the most exposed. He specifically called out banks like Huntington Bankshares, M&T Bank, Truist Financial, and CFG Bank as particularly vulnerable. Why regional banks? Because they rely heavily on deposits for their lending operations. Big, diversified banks like JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs have other revenue streams: investment banking, trading, wealth management. Regional banks? Deposits are their lifeblood. And here's a critical detail that makes this even worse for banks. When you convert your dollars to USDC or USDT, that money typically does not stay in the banking system. Kendrick's research found that Tether holds just 0.02%, basically zero, of its reserves in bank deposits. Circle holds about 14.5%. The rest, US Treasury bonds. So the money doesn't just move from one bank to another, it leaves the banking system entirely. Banks can't lend it out. They lose that leverage completely. That's why Moynihan said on his call, if you take out deposits, they're either not going to be able to loan or they're going to have to get wholesale funding. And that wholesale funding will come at a cost. Okay, now let me give you my actual opinion on this, because there's a lot of noise and I think people deserve the straight truth. First, I think Standard Chartered's $500 billion estimate is conservative. If you look at how stablecoin adoption accelerated in 2025, they grew by $100 billion in 1 year, and if regulation becomes favorable, we could easily see $2 trillion by 2028. Bank of America's $6 trillion warning might be closer to reality. Second, the bank's argument is partially legitimate but mostly self-serving. Yes, massive deposit flight could impact lending and financial stability. That's a real concern. But let's be honest about what's also happening here. Banks have had a monopoly on holding and moving money for centuries. They've charged whatever fees they want, paid garbage interest rates, and faced basically zero competition. Now that competition exists, they're running to Congress to kill it. That's what's happening. They don't want to compete on a level playing field. Third, the stablecoin yield debate is fascinating because it exposes a fundamental hypocrisy. Banks can take your deposits, pay you 0.5% interest, lend that money out at 7% for mortgages or 20% for credit cards, and pocket the difference. But the second someone else wants to offer you 8% on your money, suddenly that's dangerous and threatens financial stability. Give me a break. Fourth, regulation is actually necessary here. And I'm not some crypto anarchist saying everything should be unregulated. The difference is, good regulation protects consumers while allowing competition. Bad regulation just protects incumbent businesses. What would good regulation look like? Reserve requirements, transparency, consumer protections, maybe FDIC-style insurance for stablecoin holders. But banning yield entirely? That's not regulation. That's protectionism. Fifth, and here's my spiciest take, I don't think this is a bad thing for America. Competition forces improvement. If banks start losing deposits to stablecoins, you know what they'll do? Offer better products, higher interest rates, lower fees, better technology. That's how markets are supposed to work. So what should you do with this information? Number 1, don't panic. Your money in a US bank is FDIC insured up to $250,000. That's not changing tomorrow. Banks aren't collapsing next week. Number 2, pay attention to what Congress does with the Clarity Act. If it passes with heavy restrictions on stablecoin yields, that limits how useful they can be. If it passes with lighter restrictions or not at all, we could see explosive growth. The next few weeks matter. The Senate Banking Committee could vote any day now. Number 3, If you're curious about stablecoins, educate yourself. Maybe keep your emergency fund and day-to-day money in a traditional bank where it's insured. But if you want to experiment with earning higher yield on savings you can afford to take some risk with, stablecoins might be worth exploring. Start small, use reputable platforms, understand the risks. Remember, higher returns always come with higher risk. Number 4. Watch how banks respond. Some will adapt. We're already seeing JP Morgan experiment with blockchain tech. Bank of America said they're preparing to launch their own stablecoin. The banks that adapt will survive. The ones that just lobby to kill competition, they'll struggle long term. Number 5. Think about the bigger picture. This is part of a larger shift in how money works. Whether you personally use stablecoins or not, this technology is becoming part of the financial infrastructure. Understanding it is becoming as important as understanding how banks work. Look, here's the reality. We are watching a major shift in the American financial system play out in real time. Yesterday, January 27, 2026, Standard Chartered said $500 billion could leave banks by 2028. 2 weeks ago, Bank of America's CEO warned it could be $6 trillion. The Senate is fighting over legislation that will determine how this plays out. Coinbase just pulled support for the bill. The vote got delayed. This isn't some abstract future scenario. This is happening now, and the outcome will determine where your money lives, how you earn interest, how you move money internationally, and what the entire banking system looks like for the next generation. So my question to you is, are you paying attention? Are you prepared? Do you understand what's at stake? Because whether you're pro-bank or pro-crypto, pro-regulation or pro-innovation, this affects you, your deposits, your loans, your financial future. What's your take on this? Do you think banks deserve protection, or should they have to compete with stablecoins? Are you already using USDC or USDT? Would you move money out of your bank if you could earn 8% on stablecoins? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.